Hey guys, I'm going to show you my Handgun Assassin build for Cyberpunk 2077. The Handgun Assassin utilizes, you guessed it, handguns and stealth to silently take down enemies. The build is based around high crit chance that lets you get critical headshots on enemies, taking them down quickly and silently from a distance. The Silent Assassin also utilizes a silent sniper rifle like the Overwatch to silently take down enemies from long distances, and can use assault weapons when things go tits up. During character creation, you start off with 3 points in each of the 5 attributes, and you have 7 points available to distribute among these 5 attributes. You want to put at least 3 points in body, because eventually we want to get to 7 points in body as soon as possible, so that we can get the health regen as quickly as possible at level 7. You want to put 2 points in reflexes. We're going to be using handguns, and for handguns we need reflexes. And we're also playing a stealth build, so we need ninjutsu. At the start, you want to get body to level 7 as soon as possible, so that you can unlock health regeneration. At level 7, you can unlock the perk Epimorphosis. By mid-game, around level 33, you want to have reflexes at 16, cool at 16, and technical ability at 12. At level 16, you can unlock most of the perks we will need. And you can craft at level 12 technical ability at least epic gear. Eventually we want to get technical ability at max level to at least 18, so we can craft legendary gear, and we want to get reflexes and cool to level 20. You'll have a few points left over, which you can put either in body for increased health and stamina, or you can add a couple of points to intelligence to unlock the access point hacking. Okay, let's look at the perks that we're going to get. Let's start with the perks for body. For body, so we had 6 points in body at character creation. You want to put 1 more point, attribute point in body as soon as possible. And the first perk you want to put is into regeneration, which slowly regenerates health during combat, which is great for survivability. Next, you want to put 3 points into Epimorphosis, which increases your health regen threshold in and out of combat. And up to at level 3, it increases your health regen threshold out of combat to 100%. So whenever you're out of combat, you heal back up to 100%, and you're not going into gunfights with less than maximum health. Also, you want to eventually put 3 points in Wolverine, which increases the rate at which health regen is activated during combat. We're not going to need to put any points in Annihilation or Street Brawler for this build. Now let's look at the perks for reflexes. Eventually we'll have 20 attribute points in reflexes. For assault, we are going to use some assault weapons like assault rifles or sniper rifles. So there are a couple of perks which can be useful. You want to put 2 points into Nerves of Steel, which increases headshot damage with sniper rifles, which is very useful for this build. Also, you want to get Executioner, which increases 25% more damage to enemies with more than 50% health. With these 2 perks, you can really do a lot of damage with the sniper rifle and take out even cyber psychos with a good shot to the head. Now let's look into the meat of this build, handguns. You really want to get all of these perks. There's some which you want to get as soon as possible, so get Desperado quickly, which increases damage with pistols and revolvers by 10%. There are a few perks which are not that useful. Vanishing Point increases mitigation chance, skip this. Acrobat lets you perform dodges while aiming, you can skip this one. There's Gunslinger, which reduces reload time. This can be useful. If you have some points left over, invest in this, but I'd rather focus on perks that increase your damage or crit chance. On the Fly reduces draw holster time. Again, this can be useful if you have extra perk points left from leveling up your skills. Put some points in here. From Head to Toe increases damage to limbs with pistols and revolvers by 7%. This can be nice. However, we're going to be mostly aiming for the head, getting crits. So it's not that great. Again, if you have some extra perks left over, yeah, you can put them here. Snowball effect, yeah, it's not that useful. After it increases rate of fire with revolvers, we're mostly going to be going stealth with the handgun and going for headshots, so this is not so useful for us. Lead sponge allows you to shoot while dodging. Again, this is not so useful for us. Brain power after a successful headshot with a pistol increases crit chance by 7%. This is pretty good. Once you get to level 20 with the handguns, put a point on this. The good, the bad, and ugly after a successful crit hit with a pistol increases armor by 30%. This requires 20 level 20 in handgun. So yeah, this is pretty good as well. Once you get to 20 level 20 in handguns, get this as well. And you want to eventually unlock all of the other perks as well. Let's look at technical ability. So I'm going to skip over engineering. There's nothing that useful that we need from engineering. We're going to be focusing on crafting. Our goal here is to get the Edge Runner Artisan perk, which unlocks at level 18 technical ability and allows you to craft legendary items. Eventually, we want to get pretty much all of the perks for technical ability. The last perk, which requires level 20 in the crafting skill, increases sale price of items by 10%. This is really not that useful. By the end of the game, you're going to be swimming in money anyway. I'm at level 39. I've been doing only gigs and NCPD assaults, and I've got almost 600,000 eddies already, and I've been blowing a lot of money anyway. So money is really not going to be much of a problem at end game, so you can skip this. Innovation increases the effect duration of consumables by 25%. You can skip this. We're not going to be using a lot of consumables. Efficient upgrades grants a 10% chance to upgrade an item for free. This is nice. If you have some extra perks, put a point in this. Sapper increases grenade damage by 10%. We're not going to be using many grenades. You can skip this. Tune-up allows you to upgrade lower quality components into higher quality ones. You should definitely get this. Later in the game, you're going to be swimming in low quality components and not so many higher quality ones, so this will be very useful to craft legendary gear and upgrades. Let There Be Light reduces the component cost of upgrading items by 10%. This is pretty useful. If you have perks left over, get this. But I mean, the perks that you see here now in yellow, this is really what you want to focus on. So the first point you put in technical ability should be in mechanic, so you get more components when disassembling. Eventually, you want to unlock True Craftsman to unlock rare items. At level 12, you want to unlock Grease Monkey, which allows you to craft epic items, and at 18, Edge Runner Artisan. In the meantime, you can put perks and put points in the perks that reduce the component cost of upgrading items, and the perks. These two perks, efficiency and field technician, which increase damage and armor for crafted weapons and equipment. For cool, well, it's a stealth build, so ninjutsu perks are going to be really helpful, especially in the beginning of the game. As soon as you have the necessary perks in body, you should get this ninjutsu perk, Silent and Deadly, which increases damage dealt by silent weapons by 25% while sneaking. This is really the bread and butter of this build, so get this as soon as possible. Crouching Tiger increases movement speed while sneaking by 20%. We're going to be sneaking a lot, so get a point on this as soon as you can. Sniper increases headshot damage outside combat by 10% for each level of this perk. This is really useful. Get 2 points in Sniper as quickly as you can. Eventually, you want to get From the Shadows, which will increase crit chance upon entering combat. You can maybe save this for later. It's very useful, but the build is predicated on staying in stealth and getting crits outside of combat. But if you do find yourself entering combat, this can be very useful to clear an area quickly. More important is Assassin, which deals straight 15% more damage to human enemies. We're going to be fighting pretty much only humans. So put a perk in Assassin as quickly as you can. Many of the other perks which buff melee damage or melee weapons or have to do with poison or knives, you can skip over. We're not going to be using them for this build. I'm at 16 cool, so by the time you get to 20 cool, you'll eventually want to get well, at level 18 you want to get cheat death, which is kind of like a second heart. If you're dying, it will reduce all incoming damage. Jeepers Creepers, this unlocks at level 20 of ninjutsu, but this increases melee damage, so you don't need this. This one is also, well, it increases more damage to poison enemies, so you can skip this one. Toxicology increases the duration of poison, you can skip this. Neurotoxin, again, increases damage for poison, so you can skip this. This one is pretty situational. I didn't really find much use for this, so you can skip this. Juggler, again, knives, skip this. Leg up, this can be useful if you have an extra perk point. You can put it here. I didn't find it that useful. Next, let's look at the Cold Blood perks. So Cold Blood will trigger, well, after you put a perk point in Cold Blood. Whenever you defeat an enemy, it will trigger Cold Blood for 7 seconds and gives you a whole lot of buffs. In order to level up the Cold Blood skill, I really recommend putting just 1 point in Cold Blood as soon as possible. This will let you start getting Cold Blood stacks really early in the game, and every time you get a stack of Cold Blood, it levels up your Cold Blood skill. So I really recommend putting at least 1 point in Cold Blood really early, as soon as you can. So I recommend after you get the necessary points in body and at least 1 point in Silent and Deadly, put a point in Cold Blood. All of the Cold Blood perks are really useful. They give you all sorts of buffs to your health, resistances, and damage. So I recommend all of them. I'm going to tell you which ones to skip. Will to Survive. Well, well, you shouldn't skip this. You should get this, but I just haven't put a point in any points in this yet. Frosty Synapses. This reduces quick hack cooldowns. You can skip this one for this build. Icy Veins reduces weapon recoil. Don't skip this. Put a point in this eventually, but towards later in the game when you have more perks to spend. Predator increases attack speed by 10%. You can skip this. Quick Transfer reduces quick upload time. Skip this. Blood Brawl increases damage with melee weapons by 5%. Skip this. Merciless, while Cold Blood is active, increases crit chance and crit damage. Get this when you get to level 20 in the Cold Blood skill. Blood Swell, upon lethal damage, prevents death. This is also very useful. When you get hit level 20, get this. And Immunity grants immunity to bleeding, poison, burn. This can be useful. If you have an extra point, drop it here. So those are all of the perks that we need. Hey guys, so for weapons, the first slot you should be using a sniper rifle. In the early game, it's easy to get the crafting specs for the SPT Grad, which does insane amounts of damage. The only drawback to the SPT Grad is that it's not silent, so when you fire it, you'll alert all of the enemies nearby. But in the early game, it's enough. It's powerful enough to take out even cyber psychos in just a couple of shots. Or if you get a critical hit, you can take them out with even one shot to the head. For the second slot, it's a handgun build, so obviously choose a handgun. I'm using the Seraph, which is one of the legendary pistols. And in the third slot, you want to be using an assault weapon, so either an SMG or an assault rifle. For mods, for the, well, in the later game, you want to get the Overwatch. You will unlock this as you go through some of the Pan Am's side jobs. And this is a silenced sniper rifle, which is very powerful. So again, for mods, you want to be using Penetrator, which increases crit chance in all of the slots. So the number of mod slots you have depends on the rarity of the weapon. So you want to fill up all slots available with Penetrator. You can craft Penetrator mods. You can find the crafting specs for this pretty early on in the game. For the pistol, you want to use a scope. You want to be using a silencer, and choose one of the good silencers, which reduce damage by a lower percentage. And as mods, you want to again use as many penetrators as you can to increase crit chance and get those critical headshots. For the assault weapon, you don't need to use a silencer because you'll need to resort to this when you're no longer in stealth. And as mods, you want to be using crunch, which increases the base damage for the weapon by 5%. For Cyberware, we look at what are the best options for this build. Let's start with the frontal cortex. Most of the Cyberware for the frontal cortex require intelligence, and there are only two which require other stats like reflexes or technical ability. I recommend getting the mechatronic core. It requires the legendary version requires 16 technical ability, which we have at this point. The second option is to use heal on kill. I have it in the inventory, but I don't have it installed. But it gives you, it instantly restores the 10% health after you defeat an enemy. That's the best option for this build. For the ocular system, there's just one option. Use the Kiroshi Mach 3. And for mods, you want to use this legendary mod, Trajectory Analysis, which increases headshot bonus damage by 25%. And also Weak Spot Detection, which increases crit chance by 2%. For the circulatory system, you can fill out all 3 slots. I like to use Biomonitor, which instantly restores 30% health. The Blood Pump, which restores 50% of max health if you put it in your quick slot. And the Tyrosine Injector, which increases breach time by 100%. Most of the Cyberware for circulatory system requires body, so there are not that many options for this slot. For the immune system, I recommend getting Kata Resist. I have the common version, but the legendary version increases all resistances by 35% and requires 15 cool. As a second option, I recommend getting Pain Editor, which reduces all incoming damage by 10%. For nervous system, there's 2 slots, and for one of those slots, I recommend using the Synaptic Accelerator. It slows time by 30% for 2 seconds when you're detected by enemies, and usually that's enough to get in a quick headshot to prevent the other enemies from becoming alerted. Right now, for the second slot, I'm using Korenzikov. However, for the second slot, I recommend getting the Reflex Tuner, which slows time by 50% for 2 seconds when your health drops to 25%, which again is useful when you're about to die, and those 2 seconds are just enough to get in a few quick headshots. For the integumentary system, there's 3 slots, and most of these pieces, they require highest body stats, and I like to use these 3 options. So the first one is the legendary subdermal armor, which increases your armor by 300%. The optical camo, which gives you invisibility for 15 seconds, which is very useful for this build. You can just sneak past enemies that are in the way to get to your target. The third option, I'm using grounding plating, which grants immunity to shock. There may be a couple of other options for this, like for example, heat converter or fireproof coating, which gives you immunity to burn. So it's really your choice for the third slot. For skeleton, there's I recommend using the synaptic signal optimizer, which increases your health by 20%, and bionic joints, which reduces the recoil of ranged weapons by 12%. For hands, it's not really that important. Use whatever you want. I'm using the legendary ballistic coprocessor. For legs, there are three options. There's the reinforced tendons, which give you the double jump. There's the link pause, which allows you to run silently, and there's the fortified ankles, which give you the charged jump. I recommend you play around with those three, see which ones you like. I found the best option to be the reinforced tendons, which let you do a double jump. It's really useful in getting to tricky places, finding your way around, a stealthy way around enemies, and getting to high points where you can snipe enemies from. Now, if you want to look up the locations for all of these legendary cyberwares, there's a link in the description where you can see which Ripper Docs have which cyberwares available for sale. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you like this build and will enjoy playing with it. If you have your own suggestions on how to build a stealthy handgun build, please leave a comment below. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and hit subscribe to stay tuned for future builds.